All right, and then the center of the forehead just spread out along the temple, so you get the side of the head, but you're also getting right here at this little sort of stress spot. So go in there and then through. Then we do that from the cheekbones up and over. So it's getting wake up call to the sensory nerves, ears, cup, press, and come underneath. If you have a hearing aid, this one usually doesn't feel very good to do. So, but if you do not, press and squish, then scissor, then cut, and then your jaw all the way down, collarbone, right? So just one sweep like a rake all the way down to the collarbone. One more, all the way down. All right, now lung point 1 and 2, this little nook here, circle, and then the shoulder. Circle, shoulder. Then front ribs, front rib area, come in and out. That's your liver and spleen area. And then into the very, very center and go up and down. And then down onto the upper stomach. It's what they call the solar plexus. So that's where they, different people have different terms for. Some people think it's right there up in the breastbone. They talk about it being below the breastbone, stomach. And then we go down to our groin, pubic region, and right along that little ridge line inside the legs. Then go around and go to the tail. And come up onto the hip muscles, love handle area. And then turn your hands to fists and rub up and down in the back. Thumbs right up into the middle of the back. And then now, palms face the body. We do this sweeping flow type movement. So it's sweep the hands down the sides, fold and slide the hands down, and then go around your feet and come up the inseam of the legs. So the inner calf, inner knee, inner groin, past the groin to the belly button. Go around the belly button like a belt and get your hands right on the lower back. That's called the Ming Men door of life, the waist. This is important in walking. It's important in Tai Chi in general that this is a fulcrum point, this Ming Men. And then rub up and down from Ming Men to tailbone. And then like a sweeping gesture, sweep. You go down the outside of the legs, fold over, go around the feet, and then come up the inside, the inseam, all the way past the groin, once again to the belly button. Go around the back to the Ming Men and go up and down. So we unlock congestion, it's a place that often gets congested. Ming Men, and then turn the palms to face the body again and around and all the way up to the navel. And we do that again, around. Let's do 2 more. And navel. Then left hand goes up the outer right arm. Turn the arm so palm is up and go down and off. Turn the right palm down and go up, down. Up the outer, turn, down the inner. Turn, up the outer, turn. And so eventually it can have this flow like you see me doing here. And switch. Up the outer, down the inner. Sweep the hands out, turn the palms up, fold the hands over, settle to the belly button. And that's a little opening moment, opening little section or module of self-massage. And then we close, and then we move to the next module and the next module, and so on and so forth. All right, so let's do our leg range of motion just to get ready to stand up and walk. So scoot to the back of your chair so you feel very stable. And now we do hinge and lift, and then lower. And then switch that, do it to the other side. Lift, lower. Lift, lower. Hinge, lower. We call this chamber. So not only are we lifting the thigh, but we're pulling the heel into the buttock area, sort of drawing it up and in, and then setting it down. So lifting and drawing the heel back. So it's like a spring that's loading, unloading. Now, right leg, straight, reload, down. Load, unload, reload. On this next one, unload that leg, leave it there, point, flex. Invert, evert. Little movement of the foot there. Circles. Circles in the other direction. And switch. Foot range of motion. Point and flex. Invert, evert. Circles. Other direction circles. And down. Scoot to the front edge of your chair, all the way forward. Bring your legs somewhat close together. This is a very important one for balance and stability, is this ability to feel from the hip, through the knee, through the ankle, through the foot is one. It's one thing. So now lift the ball of your left foot, swivel on the heel, turn the knee and toes to point out, come back to neutral, then turn in. This is internal rotation. Neutral, out, neutral, in, neutral. Now, same foot, lift the heel, swivel the heel out. So now notice that's internal rotation, but I push the heel out, bring the heel back, and then swivel and have the heel go in, and that's external rotation. So whether you're swiveling on the toe or the heel, it can feel very different, but the position and the integrity of the leg stays the same. Now we walk the leg out, doing one on the heel, one on the toe. So lift the ball of the foot, turn with the heel to point the toes out, lift the heel, swivel on the ball of the foot, bring the knee a little bit in. So you see this sort of awkward position. Then lift the toes and go out again. So now you're even wider. And then lift the heel, swivel again. And then one more time, open. Now we're at our full open. And now let's walk it in. Internal, lift the heel now. External, lift the toe and bring the toe around. Lift the heel, bring the heel in. And we're back. Let's walk it out. See if you can flow it a little bit. Toe and knee, lift, boom. So even though the movement's happening from the hip, it's also happening down all the way to the foot. All the way out, all the way back in. And we'll do one more. And what you want to feel as well is that the pelvis is sort of quiet. The hips aren't, I'm not turning my hips and turning my torso when I do this. Everything here is pretty quiet, and the leg walks out. So we're opening, we're discerning this whole thing here. Walk it back in. For the brain and for the tissue, of course, the tissue and structure. This side. So let's just do a couple out and in right here. Internal, external. That's on the heel. Notice that the heel is the pivot. And then let's do a couple where it's the toe as the pivot. Push the heel out, draw the heel in. Notice the knee goes along for the ride, but the heel is the moving part. Now let's put that together. We walk the foot out, toe and knee out, heel out, knee in, toe out, knee out, heel out, knee in, last one, maximum. And then walk it in, internal, external, toe in, knee in, heel in, knee out, back to neutral. 2 more, walking it out. 1, 2, notice this is all quiet, and this leg is the moving part. Internal. And again, this is so important for walking and changing directions and dealing with asymmetries on the ground, or like something in the curb, or you step on sand, because it's in these hips. It's their mobility to deal with what's going on. If these are frozen, then we feel very rigid and it's very easy to fall. But if our hips and legs have this interesting relationship, they can deal with all kinds of issues. Let's do both now. Toes out, knees out. Lift the heels. Heels out, knees in. Finally, toes out, knees out. That's our maximum. And then in, external, and finally in. 1 more. 1, 2, here. 1, 2, and back. Very nice. Now, sit with your legs at nice, comfortable hip distance. And let's just hinge, hips hinge. And sit back to vertical. And then even lean the torso back. And then back to 90-degree angle at the hip crease. And then fold forward again. Go ahead. Do that a couple more times. Just got to adjust the camera. One more. All right, now pause here. Now notice spinal rounding. Hands slide forward, head falls forward, and then sit back up to nice, comfortable vertical. Then lift your chest and chin, pull your elbows, shoulder blades back. And then slide the hands back to normal, and then slide them forward and get a rounded back. And slide them back, and elbows back, shoulder blades back, apart. 1 more. And back to neutral. And just to loosen up our shoulders and everything else, bend your elbows, bring your hands up. Elbows chicken wing. And they settle back down. Elbows in front, squeeze the elbows. Elbows down, elbows up. Down and in. Down and out and up. 1 more. Down and in. And elbows back behind you. Pull way back. Then elbows down. Then elbows forward in front of you. Maybe forward and up to point to the sky. And then down in front of you. back, and forward and up. And down. And one more up. And all the way down. And then just finally our head and neck, chin down, chin up, chin down, and chin up. And just continue. 2 more. Head feeling loose and free, with the neck and torso just falling towards the floor, the head suspended by a string. Bring your head back to the middle and rotate, turning left and turning right. All right, one more. And then finally, ear falls softly, doing a little puppy dog position. Take the opposite hand there and just softly run the fingers along the side neck muscles. Those are often very tight. Notice if you find any spot you want to gently just press the fingertips into to release. And then we will switch. All right, and back to center. Shogun before we do our standing exercise. Close, settle to the belly button height. 3 breaths. Okay, now standing up and sitting down. Arms hang. We slide the feet back just a bit, right? So they're right behind the knees. Fold, notice the head, and then gesture forward off your chair, and then push down through the earth and find vertical where you're not grabbing and holding yourself up, but you're relaxing through to the balls of the feet to the earth. And then time to sit down, the butt goes back. Stick your booty back, sink it, find your chair, and then back to vertical. So it's so important that the first gesture you think of is not up, even though that's where we're going. First gesture has to be, and then down to go up. So in no way do I need to grab onto my muscles and pull myself up. In fact, I have to stop doing that in order to effectively stand up. And then butt back, head forward. That's the first gesture. Then I stay forward with the head and shoulders as I sink my butt. It's like ballast. It's balancing. And then vertical. Forward. Up. Down rather, to go up. And then back with the butt. Sinking. Now let's just do a couple more where it's got a little more flow to it, but look at how my hand does that. That's how it has to feel. It can't be this. It's got to be, right? Same with sitting down. It's got to be, it's not back and it's not down. It's this sort of, so it's got a flow. It's got a roundness to it. Let's do 2 more flow. Soft, relax. You do not have to tense up to do this. You can just, great job. Now 3 where we don't sit in the chair. So we sink, and then we rise, and then we push the hips a little forward and just gently arch back. And then the hips come middle, back, sink, up, middle, forward with the hips. Helps us really find our middle. And hopefully over time, a looser and looser relationship between our joints. All right, find the middle now. And just hang out there for a moment. Feel your feet. Notice that your feet have heels and then they have balls of feet. So, and ideally now have your hands at the back of your chair. Ideally too, you're facing forward even when I'm facing sideways, because I'm doing this for instructional purposes. I'm sideways or angled in different ways. So now, rock your body into the balls of the feet. And then rock your body back. And then even into the heels to the point where your toes kind of come off the ground, but you got your hand on your chair. And then into the balls of the feet. Now you have the option. Lift your heels up. And then lower back down. Rock back. Lift the toes. Rock forward, lift. Rock back, lower, and then rock back and lift. Over time, you'll play with just the lightest touch or hovering hands right by the chair and seeing if you can sustain your center without gripping on for dear life. Last one. Okay, now the next exercise here is, for some reason my camera feels like I can't see my feet. Okay. All right, so here, next exercise, hand on the chair, right? And outside leg, swing, loose. Now, what sometimes happens for folks is they swing forward well, they bring it back to about here, and then they bend the knee. So then they're doing this, but that's not as good as from the hip. Get the hip, the whole thigh bone, to actually go a little behind you. Swing, loose, loose and easy. And switch legs. So we turn, switch hands on the chair, and swing. Loose, easy. Switch again. Now watch what changes. So this is still present, the swinging, but as I swing back, bend the knee, bring that forward, kind of like our chamber that we did, and then extend the foot, sweep, 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 sweep. Switching directions, so we swing forward, not switching sides, switching directions of the legs. So now the leg goes forward, and this is important here. When it tucks and is here, and then we reach it back, you notice this weight distribution change or this balancing maneuver, and then the leg comes forward. And then we tuck, and right here, reach back and feel how your upper body has to regain balance, right? Because we're switching. And this one's usually the tricky one, going back, back, and back. Now we switch. Switch sides. So get that swing. And then we go swing back, bend, knee comes forward, foot out. Now, forward, tuck, and then we reach back. And then forward, tuck, reach back. And now, face your chair, or I'm going to face my chair, and side, in. it's abduction, adduction. The hips stay there, the leg goes out and in, switch legs. Again, over time, all these can be done hands-free. I just teach to the chair to make sure everyone has a way of doing it safely. And switch again. Now, this foot goes forward, out, around, and back, and then forward, out, around, and back. Switch directions. Back, out, around, and forward. Switch legs. Forward, out, around, back. Switch directions. Back, out, around, and forward. And together. Now, this next one can be a little tricky. I'm going to turn and face you, but you guys hopefully have your hands on your chair. So get your body weight to go more towards the right leg. This left leg being empty, you can lift and turn it out. Then lift and bring it to neutral. Then lift it and internally rotate it. So notice the heel pushed out, the toes came in a little. Then lift and hit neutral. Then external, neutral, internal, neutral, out, neutral, in, neutral. Now skip the neutral. External, straight to internal. Get that hip to feel like it's stable because it's over here weighted, and then this leg is empty so it can move freely. And neutral, switch. This leg, external, neutral, internal, neutral. This one's usually common, but this one's weird. So over time, you have to be able to feel that little maneuver there. And now let's just skip over neutral, external, internal. And back to neutral. Great job. So all of those exist sort of in one little module. Shogun. All right. Now, ideally your chair is somewhere where you can use it and see me well. Weight shift. Empty one leg, lift the heel, lift to the tippy toes, possibly separate, and then set it back down, empty. Change your body weight. Lift, lower, shift. Change the body weight, lift, lower, shift. Maybe no hands at some point. And middle. Next exercise. So we just finished doing this, right? On this last one, as this left foot empties, So now it's out in front again. You can have your hand on your chair, adjust where your chair is so it's feeling stable. Rock forward so that you empty your back foot. Rock back, empty your front foot. Level 1. So remember, there's levels to this, 4 levels. Level 1, we keep the heel touching and the toe touching, and feel free to stay at level 1 and just work this until this feels like something you can do maybe hands-free someday, or you can use the chair to go to level 2. Level 2, separate the foot from the floor, lower it to the floor, shift, lift, lower, shift, lift, lower, shift. Remember, when you lift, notice that when I lift, I'm not doing that. It's just an empty leg, so it can lift and lower. Empty leg, lift and lower. Now, level 3, lift, tuck in, release back down, shift. Now we not only lift the heel to the butt, but bring the knee forward, and then reach it back, and then shift. And we'll do just one with level 4, which just simply adds flick, flick, and back. Switching sides, shift your weight, put the other foot out. I like to change sides for your guys' purposes. You don't have to change sides. I change so that you can see all the angles and whatnot. Level 1. Maybe level 1 is where you play with hands free, but level 2 and 3, you really use the chair, right? That kind of idea. So if you're starting to feel somewhat comfortable, then you just go hands off. Think of that teacup sitting on your head. You don't want it to be tipping back and forth. So you're really carrying a pretty steady center, a still center, forward in space, back in space, like it's on a wheel of some kind. Now, level 2, up, down, shift. Up, down, shift. What this really shows us, this simple exercise, is the foot empty before you lift it. Everybody with Parkinson's, without Parkinson's, people just in all different walks of life don't do it correctly. They don't feel or wait long enough for that to take all their body weight and this to empty. And then same thing, when we're going back, they're not waiting long enough for this to truly be empty so that it can lift with ease. So get really good at staying long enough and going, okay, yeah, it's free now. Now it's free to move. If you step too soon, your body weight's sort of halfway there, and it's dangerous, especially if you're dealing with something. Level 3 now. Tuck. Release. Shift. Knee up. Back. Shift. 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 Level 4, flick, flick, and back. Sink chi to the belly, or shou gong. Hands softly hang by your sides. Next exercise, 1 step forward, 1 step back. So watch it. Level 1, same. Once it's empty, float it through. shift, and then we pause. So that's one full step forward, and then we do one back. Shift back, wait for the foot to be empty, float it, shift. And we do that again. So your hand can be on your chair. Shift, shift, shift back, wait for the empty, float the empty, shift. All right, couple more. This one is the most like normal walking. This feeling of just casual. But a lot of people look like they're walking like this, but they're actually not separating yin and yang or empty and full enough. They're sort of clomping around. So you got to get good at it. Now that's the full. Now that's the full. Now we test it by going lift, lower, shift. Now there's a small obstacle. Come up over the obstacle. That really tests it. And then shift. And then this tests it. Up, down, shift back. Foot has to lift in front, tuck, reach back like I've been talking about, and then back, and then we go up, down, shift, establish. Then the foot's empty so it can do really anything it needs to do. And then shift, up, down, shift, wait for it to be empty. So then it's like a feather that you just float through space. Two more, level 2. Level 3. Now here, up, up, out, down, shift, here, up and up. Then we go back, back, shift, up, tuck in, reach back with no weight in it, then back, up. 2 more like that. Hand on the chair the whole time. You'll see me not using it, but you just decide to use it, please, if it's right for you. Someday, the goal would be free. One more. And now let's do one round, level 4. Flick, down. Chamber and flick, down. Chamber and flick, back. Chamber and flick, back. Chamber and flick, and down. Switch sides. So, other foot would be your lead foot. Level 1. Shift, wait for it, float through the empty, shift. Back, wait for the empty, float, back. And if you're feeling even slightly comfortable with this, try to challenge no hands. This is the most like regular walking, but make sure the chair is right there for you. But there's a psychological crutch that the chair can be giving you that's good if this doesn't feel comfortable, just the hand on it. But if you're able to do it without the hand on it, but you still have your hand on it, now you're holding yourself back, right? So you really want to get comfortable with this feeling of, okay, I'm not touching anything and I'm just reliant on my legs, on my ability to correctly use one leg for support and then change which one I'm using for support. Last, level 1. We go to level 2. Now this, you might need the chair or just the psychological touch of the chair. Lift, lower, shift. Wait for it. Small obstacle, up and over. Shift, lift, lower, shift. Small obstacle, shift. Lift, lower, shift. Shift. One more, level 2. Loose, easy, free. Now, level 3, tuck it down. Heel, knee, foot, down. Shift. Heel, knee. Now we go back. Back, shift, wait for it. A light empty leg can lift and reach back. We shift. 2 more, level 3. Now 1, level 4. Flick, down, shift, chamber, flick, down, chamber, flick, back, shift, chamber, flick, back. Finally, chamber, flick, down, and close. Get yourself to a position like this. Right, left hand on the chair. I'm to the right of the chair. Weight goes down through this right leg. Left foot is empty. Side. Shift. In. Change. Now the left foot is empty again. Step it with no body weight. Shift. In. Change. Out. Change. In. Change. Out. Change. Now it's your right hand on the chair as you get just a little, one more step away. And then we change directions and we come back. So your real challenge, what you really want to focus on, is step without your body weight going into it, change the body weight consciously, step in without your body weight going into it, change your weight consciously, out, change, in now. Let's go back. Some of you might play with no hands, out, in, change. What this one does a really good job of defining for us is that even though we're moving sideways and we're lateral shifting sideways to change the leg, there's a little bit of sideways, right? But if I keep going too far sideways, I get too far. There's a sweet spot where if I just let this leg now hold me, then this leg is empty enough to then step. And that's really defined here where I don't even move very much sideways. All I am doing is letting the right leg now be the support leg. And that's ready to step. Now here it's harder to see because we actually are moving sideways to get to the leg, but then we got to let the weight go through. Right foot comes in. And then this one, we really let it go just down like water going to the earth. One more out, shift, and then let's go back. So we go in, out. Now we shift, but let it go down so that all the joints, the hips, the knees, the ankle are all happy. They're not just stressing being too far over there. Bring the leg in. And then here, it's a little bit over to the side, but mostly it's just let that leg take your weight like a spring. Step out, shift. Don't go too far. Go right down through to the earth. Bring the left foot in. And change, out. Change, in. Change, out. Change, in. One more. Change, out. Change. In, out. Back to the middle. And stay in the middle. Now, feel this. Keep your feet where they are and just change weight right, change weight left. Take your left index finger, place it inside your navel. So actually poke it into your belly button. And now as you shift left, turn the belly button a little bit left. Keep it turned left as you shift right, turn the belly button right. And then shift left, turn belly button left. And don't go too far. Think in terms of millimeters, right? Instead of huge sort of cumbersome movements, we want to move a small distance at a very slow, controlled, comfortable rate. So we learn minutia and nuance in movement. Now, just let your arms hang as you keep doing that. Keep that awareness of the navel as the center. And notice that your arms, especially the more relaxed they are, they can't help but sort of swing through space a little. Not because you necessarily are doing anything, but really just because, oh, they're loose, right? The looser the relationship, the better. Now we do the move that we're eventually going to put with the side step. As you shift left, turn left, let the right hand float up. Now it just stops at shoulder height, chest height. Now, shift right, turn right. The top hand is a cloud. The bottom hand is kind of sweeping along the lake. And then they change. One rains down, the other vapors up. And we go the other way. Shift, turn, cloud, lake. And then vapor and rain. And then shift, turn, cloud, lake. Vapor, rain. So even though we learned the shift separate and the turn sort of separate, eventually they're one thing. They're shift turn. And shift turn. Two more each. This time, shift turn. Notice, is your left foot empty enough that as you change the hands, you could bring your left foot in and then step it back out. And then we go this way, shift turn. As you do the vapor and rain of the hands, can your right foot come in and go back out without any weight in it? And then we're ready to shift turn, cloud, lake. Vapor and rain, the left foot in, back out. Shift turn, cloud, lake. Vapor, rain, in, out. And last time across, one more to each side. Vapor, rain. Vapor, rain. And to close this, shift turn to the middle, bottom hand just crosses. Turn the palms forward and down, and then shogun. Eventually, we'll put all that together into our walking, and over time, that can become a Tai Chi form that moves into different situations. Okay. Now, This is another little bit of sort of tricky how it's all going to work, how you're going to stay safe on your chair, but because we're rotating now. So now right leg, turn the right leg out 90 degrees. And then you need to shift onto that right leg, and now you should be pointing to the right side of your room. Now you're going to do that exact thing again. Turn your right leg out 90 degrees or so. So you have to empty it, turn it out, and then shift onto it and square yourself. You should be facing pretty much away from the camera. Now this is where you could be reaching behind you for your chair, or ideally you'd have like a cane that you could come around if you're feeling very unsteady. Right leg turns out again. It's empty, it turns out, and then you consciously shift and turn and align yourself. Now you should be facing that other wall. And then one more of those and you should be back to facing the camera. Turn the foot out, shift, turn, square. Let's do that again to the right. So empty first, then turn it out. Then we shift and rotate and square to the right. Do it again. Empty the right foot, turn it out. Shift and turn, and now you should be facing away from the camera or thereabouts. Do it again. And then one more time, and then you should be facing the camera. Final time around. Notice that this is training the deep muscles of your hips, back, core. It's also training your muscles of your spine that run straight up and down all the way from the skull down to the pelvic floor so that you can keep this comfortable, relaxed center line as you rotate. Let's go the other way. Left foot turns out, shift onto it. It becomes your support leg. The right foot is empty and it floats over. Shift into the right leg, empty the left foot, turn it out. Shift, rotate, square. Relax your arms, relax your shoulders. Rather than holding heavy up top, see if you can let all that heaviness just go down through you to the ball of each foot and go through into the earth. Let's go again. So this would be the phone is ringing across the room and you're saying, oh, I got to rotate myself to square up to it so then I can maybe start heading in that direction. Left foot turns out, rotate and square, turns out. One more to the left. The better you get at changing which is the support leg, changing which is the support leg, changing which is the support leg. With each of these steps, that's what keeps mobility. That's what allows you to feel comfortable to move around your space, go upstairs, downstairs, all of that. Now, right leg, turn out. Now watch me do this one here. Instead of doing the turn out, remember this thing we did earlier, turn in. And then I'm shifting onto that leg and sort of squaring up a little bit off to the left. And we'll do that again. So let's do that together. Right leg, empty it. Instead of turning out, turn internal. Then you have to sort of shift onto that leg, bring the left foot to match, and now you're oriented slightly off to the left. Do it again. Empty the right foot, do the little internal rotation position. Shift onto it, and now you should be reoriented more to the left. Do it again. Empty right foot, pigeon toe, shift, and you should be slightly more reoriented left. Right foot, pigeon toe, shift and reorient. In the next 2 or 3, you want to be back to facing the camera, right, by internally rotating. This one's kind of weird, and it often takes people a lot longer to pick it up. So if it's feeling weird to you, no worries. It is weird. Again, internal, shift, reorient. So in a sense, you're pointing your right toes where your belly button is going to point in a moment. So it's internally rotate, look at your right toes, and then go, okay, so then I'm orienting myself to that position. And then I'm doing my right hip and leg, and I'm pointing, and then I'm reorienting. And then right foot, and reorienting. And finally back to the middle at some point, and we'll do that to the other direction. So that'll be left foot internal, and then reorient. So again, where your left toes point, right? Right now they're pointing over there. Oh, and now I'm pointing over there. And then I do it again. Internally rotate. Whoa, now they're pointing over there. So now I'm pointing over there. It's almost like a waltz step, right? These are like dance steps to some degree. Shift, reorient, shift, reorient. We'll do one more round that way. Left foot, point the toes in a direction, shift, and reorient. Relax your arms. Now, once you're back around, we're going to put all that together for the sort of cherry on top here for our class today. Watch me do it, please. Right foot turn out, that's familiar. Shift and turn, that's familiar. And now, instead of just putting this left foot here, I pigeon toe it. And then I rotate around, and I'm able in 2 steps to now face away from the camera. And then in 2 more steps, I should be able to face back to the camera. So then it's boom, shifting, turning, and pigeon toeing. And now I'm ready to be back here. So let's do that together. Right foot turns out. Shift onto it, bring the left foot around and pigeon toe the left foot. So that you can then turn and be facing away from the camera and turn the right foot out so you're ready to keep going. Shift, left foot, then pigeon toes, and shift. And we're back facing to where we started. So in 4 foot movements, we're back to where we started. 1, shift, turn, foot, 2, shift, turn all the way, keep turning, step out, shift, turn, and we're back. Let's do that one final time. And I just want to watch some of you guys try that. So go ahead, turn right foot out, shift onto it and pigeon toe that left foot, shifting, rotating, turn the right foot out. Kathy, I hope you're okay there. You okay? And we're back to the middle. But that's an example too of why it's a good challenge to practice and play with, because that'll happen in life where we're turning in space, okay? So let's do that, finishing to the left. Left foot. And, you know, again, this idea of stillness through the middle, okay? So have a feeling of relaxed stillness in the middle. So we go here. And then when I'm shifting, I'm not losing my stillness. I'm making sure that stillness is something that I'm sustaining and containing. And then I'm shifting and I'm keeping that stillness. And I'm keeping that stillness. That's that idea of the teacup. Turn out. Pigeon. Turn out. And you're really just staying right on the center point. Right, where sometimes we can get in trouble is if we're moving our upper body in the direction that we're going versus middle. Bring my middle with me. Keep my middle. Keep my middle. Keep my middle. And we're back to neutral. Okay, our closing couple of exercises. Hands on the belly button or hands on the chair. right? Empty left foot, touch behind, and press. Middle. Press. Middle. Press. Middle. Press. Middle. Couple of more. Some of you might decide you can do it without the chair. Some of you might even decide if that feels okay, you look slightly to the side where the foot's going. And that creates a hip flexor stretch and a twist through the torso. All right. And next exercise, we're just doing our little closing gesture. One hand on the chair, opposite outside foot pointing out. Lift it, bring it up and over and in, and then let it dangle. Turn it out, lift it, in, down. Eventually, you want to be able to just flow that circle. And remember, I'm noticing some people bringing the foot in, but notice that's not getting the job done at the hip. The knee has to come in, across, right? The thigh has to even almost cross and then down, right? So that creates that circle in the hip that we want. So Greg, see if you can not have it have this angle. It looks like it has this angle. I could be wrong, but it looks like you're coming that way versus letting this dangle and really moving from that thigh. That's better. That looked better to me. Yeah, good. All right, and now we switch legs. Turn if needed. Turn the foot out and it raises and closes and down. And we switch once more and do the inside out. So it comes up, rolls open, settles down, turns inward. And don't force it too far out to the side, just a nice gentle circle. But make sure the knee and thigh are the moving part and this foot is loose. Loose. And switch. And final exercise. This one's a little weird, a little tricky. Swivel. So you're just sort of shaking the foot loose, leg loose. This one's easy. It gets a little tricky here when we go in, up, and over and down. Let me see what angle I can get for you that shows it. So I'm circling the foot and ankle, but also you see the knee and the hip are going through a nice range of motion as well. So, and then you switch directions. Circle. And shake it out. Switch, swivel. Spiral. And other direction, spiral. And finally, sink chi. Rub the groin area, pubic region, along the hip, around to the tail. Now this is that same thing we were doing when we were sitting. Slide the hands, think of it like a squat. Your butt has to go back. Slide the hands down. They might not get close to the feet, so you can just imagine they go around the feet, and then they come up to the belly button. We go around to the Ming Men, Rub-a-dub-dub. Turn the palms to face the body. Slide the hands down. The butt's got to go back. Go around the feet to the inner. Come up to the navel. Around to the back. One more. Down, around, up. And then remembering we finished this one. Switch. And Sing Chi. Seal. 1, 2, 3 breaths. Thank you, everybody. The Taoist bow. All right. So I know we went over time a bit, so I'm sure some of you have someplace you may have to be, so you're welcome to just wave and say goodbye. If you have any questions, I have a couple minutes to chat, so feel free, unmute yourself so that we can chat.